Hello everybody, this is Roy and Ryan from BRC Raceworks. If you got any questions, please reach out to us, support@BRC Raceworks. We hope you enjoy it. See you on the inside.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan from BRC Raceworks. Thank you for your interest in our content. The purpose of this content is to help an individual who is into modern hot rods, but maybe they haven't built a modern hot rod, but they want more power than stock. We'll cover things like maintenance of a high-powered vehicle. We'll cover things like tuning tips, like my tuner said I have this much timing, but I don't know what that means. We'll go ahead and we'll cover that. We'll cover wheels and tires, track maintenance, stuff like that. Stay tuned.
In this lesson, we're going to touch base on choosing the right part for your new build. We get a lot of inquiries, a lot of emails asking general questions such as, what size camshaft can I use? They'll send a link and they'll say, can I use this camshaft on my application? What do you think about this exhaust? I want the biggest cam, the biggest blower, the biggest fuel system possible to get the fastest time. The reality is that's not true. It really depends on what your application is, what your goals are, and what's the budget. A drag racing car is not going to be built like a road course car. A road course car is not going to be built like the half-mile car. So BRC Raceworks, we take an individual approach in where we discuss your goals and try to build the package around there. So with that being said, I want to turn it over to Ryan Cunningham to handle more of the technical side of the house and give you guys some value. That way you can help make informed decisions when you're choosing these parts.
Hello everyone. So as far as choosing the correct parts for your application, we first need to think about a few things. First of all, what are your goals? You want to make it a race car? You just want to be a car you're going to take to and from work, school, whatever? Your budget. This can vary widely. Some people have a large budget, some people have a very small budget. And once again, they all have different goals. 3, legality. Some states, you can only do certain things. Other states, it's a little more wide open. And we also got to deal with federal issues as well. And 4, intended use. Are you going to drag race it? Are you going to road race it ever? We all know some guy that like to drive them on the street. That's fine. But are we going to? What kind of racing are you going to do? Budget. This is a big one. You got to know what you can do with your money. If you want 1,000 horsepower but a $3,000 budget, it's not going to happen. So this is where quality of parts really come into play. A lot of times someone has a lower budget and let's say they want to put parts in their vehicle, they'll look for the cheapest part they can find to meet their budget. Now, I am not against being frugal, I'm not against any of that, but when the budget is now compromising the integrity of your build, that's a problem now. Not only can that, obviously you'll waste money. Secondly, you won't meet your goals. Thirdly, let's be real, it's dangerous. You can cause fires, you can damage the vehicle. There's a lot of things you can do with just trying to do things on I like to call on the cheap. Now, people say, well, I don't have that kind of money. Well, then generally my reply is, this is expendable income, right? You don't need to mod your vehicle to go to the store. So what I like to tell people is, hey, if you're a little short on money, save your money a little bit. Get the quality parts. Get the parts that are proven to work on your vehicle, that are proven to hit your goal. If you don't have a shop or a dyno or something, you're not in that field, you really shouldn't be experimenting. I'm telling you right now, when the end user tries to experiment, they always end up spending way too much money because they just generally don't have the facility to test. So don't think you're smarter than everybody else if you're not in this field. Go with tried and true parts. And another thing, talk to your tuners. Your tuner should, if you trust that person, he should have all the answers for you because he's tuned, he's built, he's driven these cars. So listen to him. And this goes for guys with big budgets too. I know guys with large budgets and they just want to spend the money. I understand that, but I know guys that have $30,000 in their build and they won't spend $2,000 on a good fuel system. Why risk it? You're only as strong as your weakest link. Spend the money correctly, have the right people work on it, and you won't meet your goals. And what I mean by intended use is, let's say you have a new Camaro and you want to go drag racing. Your options open a little bit. You can, because obviously it has to live 9, 8, 9, 12 seconds at a time, versus a road course application where you'd be on road course for 20 plus minutes. In a drag race application, maybe you don't want to do a camshafts and all that. Maybe you just want to do a supercharger, injectors if it's not a DI car, or if it is a DI car. You can do these things, make a lot of power, and not necessarily have to worry about cooling mods, oil cooler, and all that, because your intended use is drag racing. But what if you're a road race guy? Well, that's different. Because now you're driving for 20, 25 minutes, and heat accumulates. The more you're on it, the more heat, especially in the warmer climates in the summer, like let's say it's a 90 degree, 95 degree day, temperatures are a big deal. And I'm not just talking about coolant temps. We're talking about oil temperatures as well, transmission temperatures, both manual and auto, which is a big deal on these modern cars, especially the autos, and differential temperatures. These are all things that need to be taken into consideration, because the more power you make, the more heat you will produce. So these things are only taken into consideration. To touch on the road course side of it, so many people want so much power for road course use. And believe me, it is a lot of fun. I've driven 800 horsepower, 900, 1,000 horsepower cars on road course, and they are fun. But they're not very fast. And they break down a lot, and they overheat a lot, and there's really short sessions. I always like to encourage my clients to maybe like, once again, we'll use the example of the Camaro again. Let's say they got a new 1LE Camaro. And I would say, well, maybe we should move into more of a NA route, maybe camshaft headwork, full exhaust, something like that. You can make 500-600 horsepower relatively easily, and it's easy to cool because you don't have a supercharger, turbo, whatever on that. But in drag racing, like I said earlier, this is a lot different. So maybe on a road course car, you may want to run a manual transmission car, right? But on the drag strip, let's be real, automatics are king. In this application, I mean, you have so many options. You could do a high stall torque converter with a, camshaft and really make an crazy NA build, or you can put a supercharger on it and do camshaft and all that. You can make, 1,000 plus, 1200. I mean, I've made 1,200 plus horsepower tire on a new Camaro, and 8-second car, really. So there's a lot of things you can do. But now let's move into legality. This is very important, especially in this modern times. The government is putting different restrictions on us on what we can do to these cars. For example, in California, to be letter of law, you have to be CARB approved. Everything, anything that's, and let me explain what CARB approval is. CARB is California Air Resource Board. They are a bureaucracy of the California government that manages basically air quality. It's like the EPA of California. EPA is a federal environmental protection agency, for reference. So they have regulations on anything you can do. So anything from the catalytic converter forward, and what I mean by that is where the cat ends, forward to the engine, and everything going into the engine. That means air intake, air filter, all that. Those are all pollution controlled items. That means that anything that's aftermarket, not OEM, has to be approved by them. Which means when they go for CARB approval, they got to go run it through a series of tests on the dyno at the car facilities, and they run through all the different stuff, and they got to basically meet a standard where it's not making emissions worse than factory. Then it gets a CARB approval. So that also means calibrations too. So there are a lot of stuff about CVN numbers and this tunes in California. This is what falls into that. If it's technically a CARB legal tune, then that means it's when they go to smog the vehicle, the tune will come up legal. However, if you have a vehicle that requires tuning outside of a basic, like a CARB legal supercharger kit or a CARB legal air intake or something that's not can tuned, that's CARB legal, those are not going to pass. I have to be very clear with this. I get this question a lot, especially lately after this recent change. I gotta let people know that even someone going in there and editing your tire height on many applications, not all, but let's say a GM application, that could make you fail smog. So you gotta be really clear on that kind of stuff.